Hey everyone, welcome into Attacking Third, U.S. Women's National Team roster. It just dropped moments ago. And if you're with us live on YouTube, hey, hi, hello. Thanks for hanging because we are talking all about it. Tell your friends to tell a friend and call another friend. Get them here on YouTube for this live because we're breaking down every single 24 players. Plus, we're talking CONCACAF W Champions Cup, a little news and notes. If you're with us, like this video, subscribe. Join the combo in the chat because it's going to be ballin'. Attacking Third, it starts right now. Welcome into Attacking Third. It's a Tuesday, and boy, oh boy, do we have breaking news to talk about. The U.S. Women's National Team and Emma Hayes have announced their 24-player roster for the upcoming friendlies, and it is here. We are talking all about it. Plus, the CONCACAF W Champions Cup semifinals are here. They take place tomorrow on Paramount Plus, so we're going to preview those matches, plus little news and notes around the world of women's soccer and getting you all caught up to date on what is good in the hood. Alongside former U.S. Women's National Team midfielder McCall Zerboni, senior CBS Sports soccer writer Sandra Herrera. I'm Lisa Carlin. I decided to give you guys a little extra love today on the intros. McCall, how's it hanging?
I love that. I'm having a great day. This is so exciting because the buzz that happens when the roster drops, because it shows, who's been performing at the end of a cell. You get to see your people escalated to the next level. Let's talk about it. I'm so excited.
Sandra, good morning. It's been busy for you, but you're here with us. How's it hanging?
I love roster day. Roster day drops are like my favorite time of the year. We get them, every 6 weeks or so, depending on the international window calendar. And this time's no different. And I am so amped for this roster because when I saw it drop, Lise, I said, this is a vibe shift type of roster.
Ooh, you're teasing it, Sandra. You absolutely are. Let's dive into it. Why waste a second longer? Because Emma Hayes dropped 24 players that will be joining the U.S. senior women's national team for two upcoming friendlies that take place Saturday, May 31st against China PR and Tuesday, June 3rd against Jamaica. Hayes said everyone always earns their call-ups, but there are some much deserved call-ups in this camp for players who have shown consistency in league play. Let's tell you them. In case you haven't seen the 24 players that are out there, there are 3 goalkeepers called into camp: Claudia Dickey, Mandy McGlynn, and Fallon Tullis-Joyce. 8 defenders: Carrie Abello, Crystal Dunn, Emily Fox, Naomi Girma, Tara McKeown, Avery Patterson, Emily Sams, and Emily Sonnet. 6 midfielders: Sam Coffey, Lindsay Heaps, Claire Hutton, LaBonta, Olivia Moultrie, Lily Johannes, and 7 forwards: Lynn Biondolo, Michele Cooper, Katarina Macario, Emma Sears, Ali Sentnor, Alyssa Thompson, and Gisele Thompson. A couple that maybe stood out to you there: first-time call-ups for Carrie Abello, the Orlando Pride defender, and LaBonta, the Kansas City current midfielder. And Gisele Thompson, who is called into another camp. She has 3 caps, but she's always been called in as a defender. Now she is a forward. But McCall, 24 names that dropped. What stood out to you the most?
So building on that, I'm just thinking of the sister-to-sister combo and Gisele's karate chop finish. That would make anyone think this woman needs to be a forward. I'm interested to see her in that position. I think she has all the attributes, the pace, the power, the willingness to go forward, especially when we have Emily Fox back there and we're bringing in some new outside backs. But for me, Carrie Abello, I've been really watching her and praying that she was going to get the call up. And, I love a left-footed outside back on that side. So great. My only concern, say we compare it to a Casey Kruger, previously short. We call her Shorty in the game. She also can play center back as well. So with these Avery Patterson and Carrie Abello, if we play in a 3-back or even in 4-back, I'm not sure that they could play center back. So it's kind of nice to have that variable and that option. So I would like to see how we do with these limited, very outside back attacking, getting forward players.
Going off of that, Avery Patterson being called into her second camp, the Houston Dash forward, fullback, wingback. She also can play that role, McCall, of in an outside back as a 4 or maybe a wingback getting higher. To me, the players that Emma Hayes has called into this
very attacking, right? Is that what you're feeling?
Very attacking.
Yes.
It's good
Let's
energy.
score some goals, baby.
Yeah, I'm here for it. Maybe that's maybe part of the alluding to the vibe shift for me. It's like, let's just go. There's this window, such a unique opportunity in that it had an initial shift in opponent. Like this was supposed to be a 2-game series against China. They announced an opponent change. It's not going to be split. So they're going to have a chance to take on 2 different national teams, completely different styles. And how are they going to tackle that? Well, maybe this roster is the first glimpse into that a little bit. There's a lot of energy here around maybe emphasizing higher end attack, generating these really, really fun sequences, hopefully fingers crossed, right? But I'm here for it. This is still that window of time that this coaching staff is going to utilize in that build up to the World Cup. I'm not too shocked to see some new faces in this one, or maybe even some shifts positionally across this roster. We've seen the Thompson sisters doing what they're doing this year. Why not take a look at Gisele Thompson in a winger specific type of role? This is what it's for. And it's already maybe alluding to the fact that where that coaching staff is seeing specific players, it's already pretty evident that they had called Gisele Thompson into these prior camps, utilized her specifically as that fullback option. But on a future major high stakes roster, is she that player that is going to be that versatile player? Like, is this the direction in which this coaching staff is already going? Are they also trying to take a look at those players who they think can play across lines? And to your point, McCall, Casey Kruger is one of those players and not on this roster. She could play outside back. She could play center back. Are they rating Gisele Thompson
header goals?
He could score a banger header goal. Are they rating Gisele Thompson this high this quickly? So I don't know. We'll see how much time she gets.
Makes me nervous in the back. I don't think she's ready to be an outside back on the world stage. So I understand why they're moving her forward, and I understand that she has variables to her game, but outside back, it's not there yet.
I agree. As an outside back, Gisele Thompson is not senior U.S. women's national team level. But to call her in as a forward is very shocking to me, because can she do with the ball at her feet as a forward internationally what someone that is a forward by trade can do? I'm looking at Yasmin Ryan, who's not called into this roster. I would take Ryan over Gisele Thompson in the front line. So I'm very curious to see how Emma Hayes is going to utilize Gisele Thompson listed as a forward, because it better be very specific, right? I imagine that there's a role in mind for Gisele Thompson that a traditional forward can't fill. Midge Purse, Yasmin Ryan, right? Like, these are players that play on the wing, that get end line, that cut it back, that want to go 1v1, that want the ball at their feet. Why Gisele Thompson? What's her special sauce? I haven't seen it yet, especially.
But that's interesting though, because Yaz is not in form at all. And this is what I love about Emma. You're in form and creating heat, she'll bring you in. She won't rely on your name or your past performances. If you're getting it done for club and country, she'll reward you and bring it in. And let's be honest, Yasmin Ryan has not been doing it for Houston. And Gisele's been showing her attacking ability. I just want to see her in 1v1 positions where she really has to get creative and break lines out there on the wing in a higher position.
You know who has been showing it for club and absolutely deserves this call up is friend of the show, Kansas City midfielder LaBonta. Her first call up to the senior women's national team ever for her at 32 years old. She's a captain of Kansas City. She's an 11-year NWSL veteran. She's played with a handful of different clubs, but mostly in Kansas City is where she's made her name. And now she gets this call up and a chance to debut as a senior national team, which there have been conversations about age with Casey Kruger not being called in anymore. But now LaBonta got this call up. She deserves it. The people in the chat are going crazy for Lo. McCall, why does LaBonta deserve to be on this roster?
And also super fun for her because the Kansas City fans, it's not too far away. They can make it to St. Louis and go watch her in person, which is just super rad.
See an international Lo Selly? Let's
yes!
go!
Who knows what she's creating that locker room right now with the new crew. She's, rowing that boat and stuff. But, for her, she's been so consistently good for so long. And, I think a lot of us were puzzled, like, when is she ever going to get a look? Even the Futures Camp. I was like, that was a perfect time to bring in a LaBonta, see what she can do on that stage. But she has been so good for Kansas City, even better than last year. And she just has a knack of doing the dirty work for her team, both in the attack and defensively. And it brings the team together and elevates their performance every single time. So I'm sure Emma is looking at that. Like, let's bring that into, even if it's just positive energy at training and pushing the tempo, she is all the energy all the time. Who wouldn't want her on your team?
This call up for Lo is so deserved. I think she's going to bring such a different look to what the midfield at the U.S. level needs, because she can play defensive and sit in those pockets, intercept passes, organize, right? As a veteran, so many times first call ups are younger players that are new to the professional game or new to the club game and are new to their club in the NWSL or wherever they are. Lo doesn't have that. Now, I'm sure there's going to be nerves. I'm sure there's going to be some uncertainty, but she's going to lead. She's going to organize. She's going to dictate tempo. And to have that as a leader in your first call up it's going to be a different look that we're seeing in the midfield. And if LaBonta debuts in this opening game, she will become the oldest to debut for the U.S. women's national team in a 40-year history. But she brings the leadership and the veteran ability as a captain for her club now that gets to showcase that at the international level.
I'm curious if we're going to get to see not only LaBonta make this debut, but is it going to be alongside like a Claire Hutton? These are two club teammates. Are they going to does the coaching staff want to see if the two of them can reproduce a little bit of the razzle dazzle, but on the national team level outside of club? I'm here for it. This is what I meant, in terms of like this roster, this midfield position, really kind of feeling like a little bit of a vibe shift. I'm also very curious about what that means for others who aren't on this roster, specifically within this midfield area. There's no Corbin Albert on this roster. There's no Jaden Shaw, someone who we've seen be one of those players that has been shifted across forward to midfield categories for this coaching staff, but not on here at all. So I do wonder if maybe these are players that the coaching staff sees as part of maybe that U23 camp, because that is something that will be forthcoming as well. The U23s are going to continue with Emma Hayes and her coaching staff. They still want to make sure that they're getting evaluations in across the board for all different types of players. So, I mean, maybe this is, they're falling into this category is, they're not ready right now, but we still need to see them in specific environments. So I'm very curious to see with this senior national team roster, who are going to be the players that get those starts in these games against China or Jamaica. So I'm hopeful, again, fingers crossed. I would like to see a current, combo of Hutton and LaBonta to just see if it can translate on a national team game.
Looking at this midfield, I am shocked, honestly, that Olivia Moultrie got this call up. This was a surprise to me. That was one of our topics, surprises in the roster. I immediately highlighted Olivia Moultrie. She wasn't called up in April to either of the camps, the senior team or the U23s. Then due to some injuries and players being shifted around, that was Tierna Davidson being removed from the senior roster, Gisele Thompson being promoted from the U23 roster to the senior roster. Then Moultrie got the call up. She has US cap. She has senior goals as well, but it has been a very up and down roller coaster of her call-ins to the camp. With Portland Thorns right now, she has taken on more of a more experienced role in the midfield alongside Hina Sugita and Sam Coffey, trying to dictate a little bit more of the attack. Portland has had success over the last couple of weeks. I think it has to do a little bit with what Moultrie's doing, but I haven't been blown away by her club performance to warrant a senior national team call-up after not even being called into either camp just a camp ago. So this was one of the surprises for me on the roster.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, definitely a surprise. But I think Emma might have been a little bit handcuffed because you think about a Rose Lavelle, like that's the ideal person that we want in that 10 position, running with the ball. She's still not ready. But also coming off our last game versus Brazil that we lost when we had the youngest roster that we've ever started with. And then now we're calling in a 32-year-old person. So it's making you try to get into the mind of Emma. Is she now leaning more towards, okay, experience is more valuable, or should I start working these people into it? You know, you're not sure what she's trying to get at yet based on who she's calling in, because I agree. I was kind of shocked by the Liva Moultrie thing as well.
I do wonder if there's some mentality around that for the coaching staff to try to get a like for like, and what you're kind of maybe alluded to a little bit there, Lise. It's just like there is no Lavelle on this roster. It hasn't been and might not be for at least a little while. So who is that kind of architect type of player, this kind of playmaking, link up, combo, final pass kind of player? But
there's also no Croy Bethune on this roster.
I know there are players who are working back, you know, into form in 2025 with their NWSL clubs, where you can maybe make a similar argument, Croy Bethune being one of them. I do wonder if there's a little bit of wanting to see club connections that we've talked about in the past, seeing duos or trios of players specifically together on this team and how they combine together and how they function together in a national team setting. And I wonder, in similar fashion to Hutton and LaBonta, if maybe there's something they want to see there in Coffey and Moultrie.
Yeah, well, in comparison to last camp, no Corbin, no Trin, no Hatch, no Alana, no Yaz, and no Jaden.
Yeah. A lot of snubs. Are those any of those players, McCall, that are not called into this camp that you think did deserve a shout?
If Lim Biondolo wasn't called in, then I would have had a question mark about Hatch, because I think we do need that center spine, false nine sort of position to hold up the ball. But I'm thinking that Biondolo is going to be in that 9 position with Macario kind of subbing in for her, or that's what I love about Lynn. She can play on the wing or she can play in the center in the 9. So again, those players are super valuable who can play multiple positions, especially going to a tournament when you have a limited roster to work with.
Another just note for everyone, I'm seeing some comments in the chat. There is no triple espresso on this roster. Mallory Swanson and Sophia Wilson are both pregnant, expecting their first children, or the first child each. Grammar. And Trinity Rodman is also unavailable right now. She is receiving some medical treatment for a back injury that occurred prior to the Olympics and has been nagging. So she is removed and unavailable for Washington Spirit club play, as for the U.S. women's national team. So the front line for Emma Hayes, which has been circled for some time now, continues to be circled with some of these players that she has called in, with Biondolo, Macario, Cooper, Sears, Sentnor, Thompson, Alyssa, and Gisele. I still wanted Ashley Hatch on this roster. I think she's been performing very well for club, for Washington Spirit, providing an evolution to her game. She's not just an out-and-out 9. I mean, she is, and she plays that way so exponentially, but Hatch has added so many other elements to her game. That
her press, the way that she puts back lines under pressure, she works her little tail off. And when you know that scrappy person is always chasing you down when you're trying to have the ball at your feet and build out the back, it's a panicky feeling for any back line.
Meanwhile, Naomi Girma returns to this roster. It is such a pleasant surprise to see her for the first time in 2025 be called up to the camp. She's been out due to injuries, but she's coming off a WSL win with Chelsea, an FA Cup win, Sandra. She's going to add so much to this back line for the U.S. now to have Girma back in camp.
I think it's refreshing to have Girma back in camp, but I do wonder how she's going to be utilizing it. I think there's a question mark, or a layer of question marks, I should say, across this roster. There are players who have sort of tried to work their way back into form. I would consider Girma one of those players as well. I think it's 5 games that she was able to put together in the regular season campaign for Chelsea, and it's great that she's kind of getting back into her form now. But what is that going to look like? And maybe that's part of calling this player in to make sure that you're getting those evaluations, those check-ins with them to see how their return to play has been going. But I'm here for it. I mean, listen, even if it's someone who is like Girma, who has been navigating, what was it, like a lingering calf injury for this some point, if she's out there and playing, and she has been doing it for weeks and months now, get her back into the mix and see where she's at. So I'm definitely here for it. I'm also definitely here for it because of the opposing teams that are in front of them. Yeah. This is going to be a little bit different than a very quick, technical, cheeky kind of Brazilian side. These are 2 different teams in Japan and in Jamaica. So this is also maybe, again, the window and opponent type of opponents that you want to try to see these players in. And I think you could say a little bit of the same for even Michele Cooper, someone who has had to deal with a knock of her own, that we see her back on this roster. So there's, I think, a little sprinkling of not full on injury, but lingering type of nagging things here that you are looking at across the board for some players. And I would think that Girma could be one of those. I think Cooper's one of those. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. The staff
perhaps limited minutes
than us. Yeah, I mean, there's
we'll see. Mm-hmm. We'll see as those games get closer. Limited minutes. Who is on minute restriction? Who's there mostly to be a training player? Just get reps, because 24 players were called in, but for these 2 friendlies, Hayes can only name 23 players on the roster. I want to give a shout out to the goalkeepers too, because this is a very, very, very contentious position right now. There is no number 1 U.S. goalkeeper. Frankly, there's no number 2 U.S. goalkeeper either after Alyssa Nair announced her international retirement. So we have Claudia, Dickey, Mandy McGlynn, and Fallon Tullis-Joyce, who, thank goodness, PTJ is back on this roster, because we've been shouting it from the rooftops. They, with Manchester United, she has brought this team. She's won the co-Golden Glove in the WSL. She's brought them into Champions League contention next year, made it to the FA Cup final. She has just done such a good job, I think, proving that Fallon Tullis-Joyce can do a variety of different things on the ball. Building out of the back with her feet is going to be the next evolution of her game. And being called into these camps, I hope she gets starts and 90 minutes in a game. And I hope she tries to build out of the back. We know she's good with aerial crosses. She's great at shot stopping ability. She's good 1v1s coming out with a forward streaking down on her. But can she test her limits by building out of the back? Claudia Dickey is also called into this camp. Seattle Reign goalkeeper. She was called in January. She hasn't received a cap yet. And I actually recently talked to Seattle head coach Laura Harvey specifically about Dickey. And Harvey said that she is one of the most athletic players ever. And when you watch her in the box, her goalkeeping, she just looks so natural and comfortable, and she makes every save look really, really easy. Guys, she was a dual athlete in college at UNC. She played basketball and soccer. I mean, if that doesn't scream athleticism, I don't know what does.
It shows. She's out there. She's out there swatting them away. No, for sure. It's wild to look at this goalkeeper core though, and that McGlynn is the leading experienced goalkeeper with 3 caps at this point. PTJ with 1, and Dickey's back in the mix for a shot at a debut, which I gotta be frank, I won't be surprised if she gets it. Look, Emma Hayes has been, if nothing else, but pretty transparent about this current process and the build up to the World Cup. I mean, LaBonta and Abello are potentially going to be the 22nd and 23rd debuts under Hayes. This is exactly who Hayes has been in her time.
You get a chance.
Yeah, and maybe we're gonna get to see that for Claudia Dickey as well. And honestly, we should see that as viewers, as analysts. We want to see these different options and looks at goalkeeper. Although I know we're all very high on PTJ, we wanted to see her get that game against Brazil. Not only did she get it, she absolutely smashed it out of the park. It was an incredible performance. But there's 2 games here. And so I do think we might get a chance to see Dickey in this one, who has been doing a lot of great stuff for Seattle. I mean, this is a team that has been trying to shift some things tactically. Laura Harvey has wanted this team to kind of play a certain kind of way. And these narrow 1-goal shutouts for Seattle are a huge testament to Dickey and what she's been providing for club.
And if and when Dickey gets the opportunity, she'll be ready. She's fit for it. She's super confident. You guys, it was so funny. So last season I was with Gotham when we were playing Seattle and we were warming up like behind the goal. And some of the gals I was warming up with, they're like, yeah, she's really confident in herself. Like as a rookie last year, like it kind of rubbed some people the wrong way, but she just knows who she is and knows her quality, has always believed in herself first. And that exudes when she plays. You can see that she looks really comfortable in there, as you were saying, Lisa. And so even as a youngster coming into this league, she's just always felt really positive and believed in herself. And then now we're going to be able to see that reaped and sowed at the highest level. And when she goes in there, I'm assuming she's going to have that same attitude. So I'm excited to see her in there. And that's so confident for a back line too. When you know that your goalkeeper behind you, like, okay, yeah, they haven't been on this stage before, but she feels really good about herself and is always confident. So
honestly, Dickey's confidence is probably what has allowed her as a second-year NWSL player, 25 years old, to earn the starting spot at Seattle and 2 call-ups now to the senior women's national team. Like, as a goalkeeper, that's legit in my mind. I'm very intrigued to see how Dickey can translate her club play to the international level, though, because it's a very different game. It is a very different game that she's going to have to be prepared for. And keeping possession of the ball as a goalkeeper is a huge emphasis for Emma Hayes and this U.S. side. Can you do that? Can you do that and confidently and comfortably under pressure while it is being streaking at you from this opposition?
And no, Jane, you know, we said last time, we're like, okay, Jane's been on the roster over and over again, and she never gets a look. So really, what is the point of continuing to call her in? Let's start looking at someone else then, because if you're truly never going to give her a shot, then we just need to move on from that.
Well, I mean, Fabrice Atra, the head coach of the Dash, I mean, he made a change at the goalkeeping position for club. Abby Smith had a really great performance a couple weeks ago for Houston Dash, and it alluded to that. Said the goalkeepers are balling out in training, and Abby Smith, we needed to see her get a shot in net and a start because of everything that we're seeing in training. And you have to wonder if there's a little bit of that energy as well for USWNT. There's a very specific window of time here to try to pin down and nail who is going to be your starting goalkeeper moving forward. So perhaps more than any other position, this will be the one that we continue to see that rotation the most. Hayes did mention earlier this year, ahead of those winter camps, that the coaching staff was targeting maybe June to be that deadline to sort of have the final decision moving forward, and that at a certain point of the year, they would want to move forward with a specific goalkeeping core.
That's
with a
this
starter
weekend.
in mind.
June is now.
I mean, there's another June window, so there's 2 more friendlies at the end of June.
June is now,
It could
but
be the
we're also
ones. It could be the ones. The deadline could be the ones after those Ireland games at the end of June.
Yeah, but I mean, how many shots are China and Jamaica really going to get on our goalkeeper?
And even Ireland as well and ahead. So it's like they have to make these decisions with the opponents that they have in front of them, and we'll see what the coaching staff feels like.
24 players that will be in action Saturday, May 31st, as the U.S. takes on China PR, and then Tuesday, June 3rd, as the U.S. takes on Jamaica. Following those matches, you know you're going to get a recap right here on A3, so subscribe, follow, download, because you'll get alerts when we're talking about it and everything that's happening. All right, guys, don't go anywhere, though, because we're switching gears. We're talking CONCACAF W Champions Cup. The semifinals are here. We're going to preview it all. Stick with us.
I know they know who I am. Jaden Shaw faces her former club. North Carolina battles San Diego in an NWSL showdown. Sunday on CBS Sports Network. They know me.
Hey, welcome back to Attacking Third. We are on the cusp of the semifinals. Big action as 4 teams advance in the CONCACAF W Champions Cup in the semis to then see who's going to make it to the final. Now, this is the CONCACAF W Champions Cup. If you don't know, now you know. It's an inaugural tournament with 11 club teams from the CONCACAF region. So that's North America, Central America, and the Caribbean. Club teams competing in a championship. The group stage wrapped up in October of 2024. It started with a prelim round in August that went through October. And the top 4 teams reached the knockout stage. So Tigres topped Group A with Gotham finishing number 2 in Group A, and Club America out of Liga MX Femenil beat out Portland for the number 1 spot in Group B. That came down to goal differential. San Diego was also in that group. They got knocked out on goal differential. So now we advance to the semis. Sandra, what's at stake? What is it for these 4 teams, Tigres, Gotham, Club America, and Portland, that is on the line in these semis?
These are the high stakes moments, right? That you look at these kind of inaugural tournaments and you say, this is what it means. This is what it's for. This is what it's supposed to be about. I mean, we cover all things women's soccer on this show. And, I don't need to emphasize how often the discussion of, growing the women's game, the evolution of the women's game. What does that look like and what does that mean? Well, this is what it looks like and this is what it means. That there are annual competitions like this with high stakes on the line between clubs that don't often get the opportunity to play each other. And so it's maybe not too surprising in this inaugural one that it's coming down to a couple of Liga MX Femenil teams and a couple of NWSL teams. I think in the beginning of this one, maybe we all had that similar prediction. They'd probably come down to a quartet of this type, but I'm here for it. I think for the Liga MX Femenil side of things, it is a bit of a measuring stick. This is still a very young league, similar to not unsimilar to NWSL, but they're younger even than NWSL, as the league that we talk about is still young and growing. So Liga MX is also very, very young. And these are those kinds of measuring sticks where they want to have the opportunity to see and showcase where they are. I think there was a layer of disappointment in that Summer Cup that took place just a year ago. So what is it going to look like when you have 4 teams representing their leagues and they're supposed to be this sort of creme de la creme going head to head? But there's also this other layer of the timing of this particular semifinal round. Different rosters going head to head that were different in the group stages. So how are they going to look going head to head in this kind of high stakes match in a semifinal?
Well, the trophy's on the line.
Yeah.
The trophy's on the line, bottom line. Like, these clubs want another trophy to put in their cabinet. So it's for that and the pride of it all, because the NWSL, we hype ourselves on being the most competitive league in the world. So when we're going against other clubs from other leagues, like, this is a time that you put your stamp on it. This is when you show that what you can do and how we measure up and how we compare to other leagues. So especially at this stage, when you're in a semifinal, you're now maybe not in group stage, but now you're taking it seriously and you're like, we're right there and we can get this thing.
Same for the Liga MX side, for Tigres and Club America, because they have been kind of the bridesmaid, if you will, of the North American Division 1 professional soccer to the NWSL, who is always touted as one of the best in the world, the most competitive. These club teams in the NWSL are the top, and Liga MX wants to prove, no, we hang right with them. We can beat them. We can take them down. That's what makes these CONCACAF W Champions Cup semis so exciting, and you can watch them on Paramount Plus. Now, Sandra, you did touch about the funkiness of this, because for these NWSL teams, they competed all last year during season, August to October, with one roster. The offseason has come and gone. We've now started the next year, and there are players that are no longer on this roster for Gotham. Our very own McCall Zerboni, because she traded teams and she came to A3. So it's a different look. Meanwhile, for these Liga MX side, their season ended a few weeks ago. They haven't played games in a couple of weeks because their season just ended. They also have different rosters. McCall, is so bizarre, isn't it, to play the same tournament over the course of 2 years with 2 entirely different rosters?
That, and if I was them and I'm like, it's meant to be my off season, I'm trying to go home and spend time with my family, and I've got to do this extra thing. And then also it's like, I'm thinking about myself and other players who were on the team last year. It's like, so are we going to get a bonus? Are we going to get a medal? Like, how's this going to go? We really don't know yet. So it's interesting, but I can tell you that Gotham and Portland are taking it seriously. Like, again, this is the chance to kind of flex on the rest of the world. And, Portland came off a sore season last year, and so they're trying to get their steam back.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's talk about it. Let's dive into these semis. They take place Wednesday, May 22nd. Club America against Gotham, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Paramount Plus. Club America against Gotham. McCall, talk to us a little bit about Gotham. They're 8th in the NWSL right now. They're on a bit of a struggle bus streak because they haven't scored in the last 3 games. What's going to be the X factor for them going into this semi against Club America?
Well, I will tell you, Gotham last year, we rotated a lot of players, right? So because we were playing regular season games amongst this tournament, not necessarily our A players were playing in this tournament to get here to the semifinals. So now it's the question mark of, are you going to utilize your strongest 11 in this match when you still got to get up the ladder in the NWSL? Because their performance has been very inconsistent and they need to not fall too far below the playoff line in the NWSL regular season. So it's like, do you risk and utilize those players, or are you going to stick with the players that will kind of carry you through this tournament as well? So I'm interested to see the lineups and who's on the rosters for game day. And, I think it's tough competition because that, these teams are going to be coming for the NWSL. Everybody wants to come for the NWSL.
Gotham scored 13 goals in the group stage. Sorry, Sandra. But I think most importantly, they were held scoreless against Moultrie and they drew 4-4 with Tigres during the group stage. So some of these Liga MX teams have Gotham's number. And that was just in the group stage.
I'm very excited to see how this match is going to unfold. I think you have to take a look at kind of where they're coming from. I think when you're looking at the Liga MX side of things, the timing could come into play as we're talking about Gotham's form, and maybe they're hitting a wall right now as far as goal scoring. That's not necessarily the case for the Portland Thorns side. They're coming, off of a pretty stellar game where like they had a flurry of goal scorers, and then you've got Tigres and Club America, where it's a little bit different. I mean, this is a Tigres team that is not only dealing with injury. There's a real big question mark around Jacqueline Ovalle and if she's going to be available with a bit of a knee sprain that she sustained. And they also got eliminated very early from their playoff run in the quarterfinals, which was a first kind of low blow for this program. It is not common for Tigres Femenil to sort of underperform, and it wasn't underperformance by their standards in the season's playoffs. So how are they going to look? Are they going to be motivated by that going into these CONCACAF Champions games? Are they going to view this as an opportunity of redemption of some sort to kind of go out there and take it home? I mean, these semifinals are being hosted in the region. They're gonna get a chance to showcase, Mexico and its soccer and culture, like what type of crowd is going to be there. I'm curious about that as well. But there's all these other things in terms of just the roster itself. Who's going to be available? What's the fitness and the form look like? That's all going to matter when that whistle blows.
And players that are dealing with like knacks and injuries, do you risk them in this game, in this tournament?
Yeah.
Like, where does your value lie?
I think for Liga MX, they have a little bit less to lose considering their season is done, right? Yeah. When you look at Club America, they won the Clausura. They finished first in the standings, but then in the playoffs, they lost 3-2 on aggregate to Club Pachuca. Their last match was May 12th. It's been a little bit of time, and they are also dealing with some injuries. As you mentioned for Tigres, Sandra, Club America is dealing with that too. In the group stage, they only conceded 3 goals. They beat San Diego 1-0, and they had 3 shutouts to Santa Fe, to the Whitecaps, and to San Diego. The only team that they lost to was Portland Thorns, and they still scored a goal against the Thorns. Now, Club America is dealing with a lot of injuries right now. Without Sarah Lubert, she was not available for their final against Pachuca on May 12th. That's a big loss for Club America. The availability is still a question mark. We'll find out more closer to game time, which is Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. But Palacios this is going to be a huge player for Club America. Can she get on the score sheet for Club America early in this game, put Gotham on their heels? Because with player rotation, I would not be surprised if we see a different goalkeeper than Ann-Katrin Berger in goal for Gotham FC. Tyler McKeamy is a rookie. She's out of Princeton. She's been on the game day rosters for Gotham this year. I could see her getting some time and minutes. And if Club America can get the ball to Palacios, she can score in the opening 15 minutes of this game. It would set the tone and it would change everything for this semifinal. And that's exactly what Club America wants to do. They're coming off of a pretty high end to their year with a bitter taste in their mouth because they didn't ultimately win in that final. Oh, that fuels a team, guys.
I'm looking for that motivation. 100%.
Yes.
And Club America more than maybe even Tigres. I think we're talking about form. I mean, they were in that last game. They were in the Gran Final. And so, maybe they do have a little bit, at least some of that pep in their step. There hasn't been that distance and break, in weeks away from games. And Palacios is going to be huge. But again, it comes down to availability. Like, is Montse
100%.
Salivar, is Montse Salivar going to be available? I mean, this is what 18-year-old keeps like such a great player for this team. He's got a lot of clout around her at such a young age. It really is. I think that's part of the aura of this game, is that it's just like the mystery of it all. It's like who's actually gonna get the start, who's gonna get out there and like take this game over a little bit for either team, whether it's Club America or Gotham.
Meanwhile, Tigres, they are going to take on Portland Thorns. That match kicking off at 10:30 p.m. Eastern on Paramount Plus. As you mentioned, Sandra, arguably one of the worst seasons in Tigres history because they finished 5th in the Clausura after a record 6 Liga MX trophies. They were eliminated in the quarterfinals. That was the earliest upset that ever Tigres has been eliminated by Moultrie. Moultrie ended up being the higher seed, so even though it was tied 2-2 on aggregate, Moultrie advances. Tigres hasn't played a game since April 28th. They're supposed to be resting, rebuilding their roster right now in the offseason, getting set to shake off the cobwebs of a pretty tough end to the year, and now they have to go compete in this game, plus dealing with some of those injuries. They're also under a new coach this year in Pedro Martinez that it didn't give the right emphasis in the league play that Tigres has been known for, because they are powerhouses, because they win. Now they have to go do it against a Portland Thorns team that is 4th in the NWSL, unbeaten in their last 5. They're on a bit of a hot streak. But for me, Tigres, it has to come down to a committee effort of what they need to do in this. Because in the group stage, they drew with Gotham 4-4, only one shutout. Defensively, Tigres was shaky in these group stages, and that shutout came against Monterrey. Reminder, that's who eliminated them in the quarterfinals of the playoffs this year in Liga MX Femenil. But they have the home advantage. Estadio Universitario is where these semifinals are being played. It needs to be Jackie Ovalle stepping up, Tembi Catlana in the front line, Jenny Hermoso, the World Cup champion who didn't have her best season at Tigres, Ana Diaz. She had a great group stage in the CONCACAF W Champions Cup, 4 goals, 2 assists for Tigres. Availability, it all comes down to that, but they've got big names, Tigres, that they can put Portland under pressure in these semis.
And I'm glad for them that they're at home, because it's a big ask. You think, okay, so imagine everyone out there that you put in like a week for Christmas, and then you're supposed to have that time off, and then they call you and they're like, oh, actually, you've got to come into work. You can't, like, that's a big ask. So it's nice that the players don't have to travel outside of their country, but that is difficult to travel to Mexico if you are a Portland or a Gotham. Like, that doesn't make it easy on you when you're in the midst of your season. So it's difficult. So we'll see what kind of attitude that these teams come out with.
You don't want to put it all.
Go, Sandra. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, you don't want to put it all on like one player, and you hate to harp on it, but I mean, Ovalle is undoubtedly the face of this franchise, and has been even as a much younger player in its beginning stages of greatness. And the head coach has already, he said like, oh, she's in the final stages of returning to play, rehab. And I'm like, okay, like, and maybe there's a little bit of gamesmanship there, and just like wanting, it's we don't know the type of availability that this player is going to have. And this is someone who has not only led in goal scoring throughout the regular season, but like absolutely changes games. We have seen that the highlight reels have been out there on and how this is the type of player who can take over a game. So I'm looking for maybe the next player. Who is that next player that can actually take over a game? Because it is not going to be easy against a Portland Thorns side.
Sandra, I'm going to throw out Tempe Katlana. She's the next player in line for them. She's played in the NWSL and against all of these teams. She understands what NWSL teams can bring to a game. She plays in the wings for Tigres. She's got athleticism and pace. She wants to go 1v1. She defensively forces turnovers. She's got a high press that'll help disrupt how Portland builds out of the back. That's who I'm going to say.
And how's that going to look with potentially out in Ovalle and potentially, I mean, not potentially, no Steph Mayor. These are players that open up channels for each other. And I'm very curious to how, like, is this going to be the game where we finally see Tigres commit to long ball? I don't know. We'll see. Stay tuned.
It's like you gotta, I don't think so. Not in the first half, at least.
Yeah, maybe not in the first half. My curiosity is piqued for sure. I'm very curious how this is going to look.
I'm also thrilled to see these rookies in NWSL. Jaden Perry, how is she going to compete against this front line of Tigres, right? Those are the tests that really determine how a rookie is doing. If you can go and play another top club team out of Mexico and compete with them, when these rookies probably don't know much about Tigres, much about Jackie Ovalle, right? Like, what is that going to look like? And Portland is built of a lot of younger players this year. Kaya Hanks up top, like, again, who's going to play? What's that availability and rotation going to look like? But I imagine these rookies are going to play and get some minutes. They're young, they're fresh, they can go around and run.
It's a great experience for them. Yeah, it's going to add layers.
I'm here for it. Yeah, I'm here for it too. I think like that's the other layer of this for me when it comes to these types of tournaments that are getting introduced into the women's game. These are all building blocks, right, to something bigger. There's eventually going to be a Club World Cup on the horizon, and all of the regions, federations are going to have these competitions to go ahead to. We know there's already a Women's Champions League. There's going to be every footballing region is going to have this type of competition to kind of boil things down, crown one champion, and then they're all going to go head to head in other competitions. And so I am very curious to see how this scheduling, like we just are coming into a segment where we're talking about USWNT roster, who's going to be available, for these games, how's that going to look, and this also falls on coaching staffs. This is a huge opportunity for coaching staffs as well, because we hear constantly, especially in NWSL, about how your coaches have to be careful with players and managing their minutes and how they're going to do this, and maybe the layers of frustration in that. Okay, well, that's your job as a coach to utilize your entire roster. Figure it out. And these are the opportunities to
deal with it.
Deal with it. You want to be a coach in the women's game? Guess what? It's only evolving and getting bigger, and there's going to be more games. And if you really do want to, continue to protect your players, manage your minutes, then maybe you really do have to start paying attention and developing your entire roster and make sure they are not only ready for these moments, but ready for always.
Yeah. And these games are going to get chippy. I can guarantee that there's going to be a high foul count in both of these games, but I still think both NWSL teams are going to come out on top. I've got Portland winning. I've got Gotham winning all day.
Ooh, a potential for an all NWSL final. Well, first we got to get through the semis. They're happening Wednesday, May 22nd. Club America against Gotham, 7:30 on Paramount Plus, and then Tigres against Portland Thorns, 10:30 on Paramount Plus, with the final taking place this Saturday, May 25th at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Paramount Plus. Tune in, CBS Sports families, because we got you covered for all the CONCACAF W Champions Cup action. Don't go anywhere, guys. We've got a little news and notes around the world of women's soccer. Stick with us.
Liberty and Fever clash in an early season spotlight on CBS and streaming live on Paramount Plus.
Hey, welcome back to Attacking Third. A little news from our friends overseas. Chelsea women, the Blues, they picked up a huge 3-0 FA Cup final win over Manchester United to earn the domestic treble. So that's now the Adobe Women's FA Cup, the WSL, and the League Cup. It was Sandy Baltimore scoring a brace in this final, and Katarina Macario, she had one as well to give the Blues 3-0 over United. Meanwhile, some transfer trade news update. Canadian international defender Vanessa Gilles joins FC Bayern. So she signs a 3-year deal with the German champions. She's been with Lyon for 3 seasons. She was on loan from Angel City to Lyon. The last time she played for Angel City, Sandra, was like 2022, I believe. I'm going to go all the way back then. So this was a trade done by Angel City for Bayern, even though she came from Lyon. But big move for her to kind of go from the French league to the German league now.
Huge. And Angel City fans, long awaited torture is over. Just put it, just gently lay it to rest. She will not be returning, not coming back, y'all.
She was never gonna.
Yeah. Never gonna. You heard it from the former player herself. Like, just never gonna. And honestly, going from Lyon to Bayern, I mean, incredible stuff here. You're talking about one excellent program, another excellent program, different styles of play she's going to get exposed to. Vanessa Gilles, for me, top 5, top 3 defender in the world, an incredible player, and is only going to get better with this move. Quite frankly, I mean, this is what it's about. You want to stay the best, you want to stay elite. You make sure that you're playing in those programs, in those environments in which you maintain your competitive edge over everyone else. So I love this move. Thrilled for Gilles, and I think it's coming at a perfect time for her.
Isn't it kind of funny that like Alexander Strauss, the head coach of Bayern, went from Bayern to Angel City, and Vanessa Gilles, who was on loan from Angel City at Lyon, is now at Bayern? I don't know. Just the world of women's soccer is small. That clicked for me while I was reading this.
Yeah.
Okay, some other big news happening. Michele Kang, Moneybucks Michele, has announced yesterday a rebrand for Europe's most successful women's club, Olympique Lyonnais Féminin, to OL Lyonnais. They will make this rebrand. They have a new logo with a lion wearing a crown. Really, it's big separation from the men's side of this and from the club having this new name that comes into it. But in this release, they also announced that they're going to play all of their games at the Groupama Stadium, which is over 59,000 seats. Right now, they're playing at like a 1,500 seat stadium. This is the most winning team in Europe with 8 Women's Champions League title. They have 39 trophies at this club. Michele Kang also announced that they're going to design their own women's specific training facility that will be the first in the world coming out of Lyon. McCall, Michele Kang, she touches things, it turns to gold. She also is looking at Lions, right? London City Lionesses, and now Lyonnais. But this is a big move coming out of the France club.
Yeah, that'll be a little interesting with Orlando Pride, because they kind of view themselves as the Lions, obviously. But I just love what Michele Kang has done since coming into this game, and just everything that she embodies. So she has 3 sisters. So she's like all female driven. Like, that was her upbringing, where she came from. She's Korean, and she was raised in a family where she just didn't feel like she had equal opportunity as a woman. And so she's really been spending her life fighting against that grain. And so when she came into the league in 2022, it was basically when everything was happening and it was a sensitive time in the NWSL. And she came in like a superhero, like flying in to like save us, and went all like girl power. Let's lift it up. Let's do this on our own without any help from, our previous skeletons or foundations. And she has really just lifted the top off of this game in the women's side. And she's like a tycoon. She took feeling stifled from growing up, and now she doesn't want women's soccer to be stifled. And that's her whole like mentality and energy. And look at what she's doing. Crazy, insane, intense, global stuff for women's football.
Yeah, it's like not... It's just like another thing you just add on to the list. The list just gets longer of like things Michele Kang has done, but and not to harp on like logos or anything, but I am very curious as I'm a non-French speaker. This is like just a wordplay, right? Like, is that is not how lioness is spelled in French?
Yes, they
like,
did make that announcement saying this is not how it's
I'm like,
spelled. We're
this
fine.
is
So they
very
created
funny.
a word, so she can do that. She's allowed to do
And
that.
you know what? And that was gonna be my point. I was gonna be like, and you know what? If you're Michele Kang, just go ahead and do that. Just do whatever you want. But there's definitely a theme here, right? The lion
Talk
thing
about,
going
I would
on.
like to buy a word.
Yeah.
Like to buy a letter.
And she literally can. You can literally do that if you're Michele Kang. I'm gonna go buy this word now and this name. I like. I'm interested in the theme of lions throughout it. I know folks who are stateside are going to be fixated on those things because she's also owner of Washington Spirit, and they've been long rumored to have possible rebrands of their own, maybe kind of layering in some slow things. I mean, we've seen the color scheme shift. There's highlighter yellows, within the kits now and the branding, although there's been no shift to the name. That's not to say that might not come. And I know folks are having fun with that and what that could potentially mean for her NWSL club.
Very exciting for them. Of course, we'll keep you updated. I kind of like this rebrand. I think it's kind of fun for them. I don't know. It's a new logo. It basically, to me, it's very cool that Michele Kang not only has ownership stakes in this Lyon team, Lyonnais, because they are perennial winners and powerhouses. And she also has bought into Washington Spirit and London City Lionesses that were in the championship, just got promoted to the WSL in England. She does it on all sides, right? She's not exclusive to maybe an underdog team, right? She wants to go with the powerhouses because I think that sets the tone in European football. Because if the Lyonnais is doing it, other clubs are going to follow suit in the French league, in the Champions League. So she sets the tone of, okay, we're going to have a women's specific training facility, first in the world, and we're going to make it top-notch, specific to exactly what these women need, whether it's breastfeeding rooms or child play care rooms because they have children or anything for them, the research, it all comes down to it. She just makes so many waves in the women's game, and we had to talk about it here on A3. Don't forget, guys, big semifinal CONCACAF W Champions Cup matches coming up tomorrow, Wednesday. It all starts 7:30 p.m. on Paramount+. 2 matches, Club America against Gotham and then Tigres against Portland Thorns across Paramount+ and CBS Sports Networks, our family of networks here at CBS Sports. You are not going to want to miss it. And then we'll talk all about it back on A3 Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern live right here on YouTube. You're not going to want to miss it. Tune into that and listen wherever you get your pods. Thanks for hanging with us today, fam. For Sandra, McCall, and Mark, I'm Lisa. This was Attacking Third.